Okay. So, we went over a lot of like reading text files and stuff that like we already have downloaded, but there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't like on basically there's a lot of stuff on the web, and we don't necessarily have it all downloaded already. So, what we can do is use Python to go and open up a file through the web, and it can use all sorts of files like images and spreadsheets and stuff like that. We're just going to take a look at a basic example. So, like I have right here, this is the entire, the amount of pelts collected, from 1834 to 1925. I don't know, they're collecting a lot of fox pelts for a lot of years. A little weird, but anyway, it's on this website here that ends in .dat for data, I'm assuming. Um, so what we're gonna do is basically take the stuff from this web page and come up with a program that's going to be able to read it, and then we can do the same stuff that we've been doing to it as we would as if we downloaded it to begin with. So the way you get started is you have to import a module. So all the names of these websites are URLs. So we have URL, lib for library. We're going to do dot request. So basically this module is going to help us request information from this website. But the issue can come in when websites have all sorts of different kinds of data, like images and text, and all different types of file extensions and stuff. And when we use something like read or readline, it's technically returning what's called a byte, or a type. The type is called bytes, which just means like a little thing of information. I mean, we went over it in the beginning of the year, so I can probably still have some idea of what a byte is, hopefully, but it's not so important. But what we gotta do is basically when we get our information as bytes, we then have to um, decode it into decode the byte data into something like string data or integer data that we know how to work with. So in order to decode something, you got to know how it was encoded. And there's a couple ways things can be encoded. Um, One popular way is UTF-8 encoding, or Unicode, it's sometimes called. This is what um, Python likes to work with. So, and that's what this website is encoded with, UTF-8. So, here's what we can do. All right, I'm gonna set a variable that's our URL. So I'm just gonna copy the URL address, but make it as a string, so that it makes it a lot easier to work with. And then we're gonna do that same sort of file convention thing we've been using. So with URL lib dot request dot URL open, instead of just like the open method that we've been using for regular files, we have to do this import the module and use all this fancy stuff, url lib.request.url open. It basically functions in the same way as our regular opening of files, and we're gonna open it as the variable website, I guess. Sure. Okay, so what we can do now is we're just going to make a loop for each line in our website. We are going to take that line variable, set it equal to line.strip to get rid of those the new line characters, that /n. And then we are also going to use line.decode. Fancy. Kind of like a hacker right now. We're decoding stuff. And we are going to decode in the UTF-8. Because that's how this website was encoded. And then finally we're just going to print out the line after this whole thingamajig is done. Oh, forgot the equal sign. So if we run this, look at that. It prints out that entire web page for us. Very cool. So, you gotta know a little, some information about the website you're working with. Like, I know this was encoded with UTF-8. Super cool. And then, once we got this going, we can do all that same stuff we did before, strip out the headers, work with just the numerical values, and this time we have a much larger set. This is just a standard way to get information from a website. We'll go through and look at some other types of things that we can obtain from websites. So stay tuned for that.